Welcome back to the Born Blondes podcast. I'm Aubrey.
And I'm Randa. Happy Monday.
And this is Ashleigh.
That's
So this is my older sister. We've mentioned her a couple times at least, if not more.
I definitely think so.
And we wanted to kind of talk about motherhood today. So I have a lot of questions to ask the two of you.
Oh.
So do we want to just jump right into them?
Sure. Why
Just
not?
a heads up, this will probably be a 2, possibly 3-parter, but we're gonna see what happens.
Yep, depending on how far we get.
My, number one biggest thing that I wanted to talk about was the age difference of the 2 pregnancies. Like, for you, what was it like being pregnant at 16 versus being pregnant at 30? Mm-hmm. And then for you, what was the big difference between being pregnant at 18 versus 19 mm-hmm. versus 20, I believe, I wrote it down, 27.
27, yeah. I forget the ages, oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I don't know who wants to
you
start.
Can go first. You are the guest.
Well, obviously 16 was its own thing. Hard for many reasons.
Right.
Not having a stable relationship. Not having, obviously mom and dad were helpful.
Right.
But, still it was kind of huge. Didn't find out I was pregnant until 22 weeks.
Oh, wow.
So that pregnancy went really fast because then Peyton was also 3 weeks before his due date.
Oh.
And then
you basically found out and were like...
found out and gave birth. Yeah, it was very fast.
How did you not know? What... Did you not, miss a period? What made you...
I was 16. I didn't have, a set schedule.
That's true.
So... And my periods, they were just still all over the place. I didn't have that regulated period like you would. Mm-hmm. And then how would I know what symptoms to have and whatnot? And I really didn't show until about that time. Because I remember that Halloween, I dressed up at school and I had a tight shirt on. And I remember walking into school and saying to Kevin at the time, I look pregnant in this shirt.
Oh. And you were.
Because I remember going to Hollow weekends and you having a headache that you just could not get rid of.
No.
And
I slept a lot that weekend, and we never took naps.
Right.
We never came out of the park. I was very sick, and that's actually how I found out is we got home, and I was in bed for 10 days, throwing up and headache, and drugstore had just opened, so we thought that I had some kind of
reaction.
Head trauma.
Yeah, that's crazy because usually 22 weeks is the second trimester, right?
Mm-hmm.
Usually that's when that stops, the morning sickness. And
but you also
so that's crazy.
put your body through a bunch of G's and stuff that you weren't
supposed
to. There's this on the signs that says no pregnant women for a reason.
Oh my gosh.
But
not recommended.
No.
So I remember that. I remember coming back and just so sick.
Yep.
Yeah, that would definitely be a good indicator. So then when you came back, you were like, should I take a test, or how did that go?
Nope. Me and my mom went to a head specialist, and they did a bunch of tests, bunch of different things, and then at the end, they're like, and we want you to take a pregnancy test.
Oh.
We're like, okay. This was a Friday, and for some reason, the doctor's office wasn't going to get the results till Monday.
Oh, wow.
We're like, you pee on a stick, you find out in a minute. What do you mean?
Right.
So we were like, okay, well, I don't exactly remember what happened, but my mom was like, you have to take one now. And our cousin was living across the street at the time and had just had a baby, and she actually had a pregnancy test.
Okay.
So I went to her house across the street, took her pregnancy test, and it was positive.
Oh my gosh. How did you feel?
I was in total shock.
Were you like, I don't know how this happened, but we know how it happened?
I mean, I was very naive. I really did not
Right.
Like, I was not ready. And
Yeah.
then, like, at that time, obviously, I didn't know how far along I was. So it's like, what are we going to do? Like, what options do we have? Like, all of that. And then, we went to our first ultrasound, and there was a full baby on the screen. And I was like, I know enough to know that I'm not just pregnant.
Right. Not like 8 weeks or like...
Right.
Yeah. I was like...
Which at that point, you pretty much were ready to find out the gender.
No, they asked that day.
Because usually you can find out at 20 weeks what the
Right,
gender
so
is.
that's why I said you were pretty much
They're like,
ready.
do you want to know what you're having? And I was like, that's definitely a boy. I can right now. That's a boy.
Not his thumb.
Yes, that is a boy. So at that point, I was hooked, and I was like, I can't do.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing we can do now.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah, I love him.
that.
Yeah.
But
love
he's
that
such a
so
fun
much.
kid. He really is. I can't believe he's almost 16.
I know.
Wow.
It's insane. So
16
what?
when you had him, and then he's almost 16.
Uh-huh.
How do you feel about that?
Well, he's got a girlfriend, so.
Oh, snap.
Well, that's. And I remember when he turned 13, because I was 13 when he was. And I remember turning 13 and looking at him and going, holy shit. Like, I've now lived, like, the same amount of time with him
It's fine.
that I have without him. So when he turned 14, it's like he's been in my life longer now than he was without him in my life. And it's like, looking back and seeing at 13, like him at 13, it was like everybody was so young. And now we're creeping up on like the 16, and I still feel like everybody was so young.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane.
Yeah.
I look at him now, and I'm like, I was like pregnant at his age.
Yeah. Which is, that's crazy.
It's so weird how fast everything. Like, we were just Snapchatting, and we were like, we were like, they're so cute when they're young, and then they grow up.
Yeah, right. And then they grow up. Right?
So sweet and adorable, and then they grow up.
But they're so innocent, and then they're not.
Yep.
So what would you say was different from 16 to now?
Everything.
Yeah.
I'm married. I have a partner that supports me 100% and did all along the way. He spoiled the crap out of me my entire pregnancy. I never left the house. I got cereal at 9 o'clock at night from Family Fare delivered to me in a bowl.
I love that.
Like, not having to get up on my own, not having to deal with the stresses, the diaper changes, the what are we going to do, who's going to take her to doctor's appointments, like all that stuff. And the pregnancy part, I can tell you exactly the day I got pregnant.
That's insane.
I can tell you the day I got pregnant. I knew it. I had the symptoms. I took a pregnancy test, like, I think about the 6-week mark when you're supposed to be able to take one. And it was negative. And I'm like, no, I'm pregnant. And it was a couple weeks later that I finally got a positive test. But at the time, we were living in our old house, and the bathroom was right off the main suite. And, like, we had Friendsgiving that night. So I'm like, before we go drinking, I want to take one more. And we had planned that in the morning, but, like, I went in there with the thought of, like, oh, it's going to be negative again.
Right.
And it was positive, so I just, like, leaned off the toilet and was like, I'm pregnant.
I'm pregnant.
And it was like, what? I'm like, it's positive. He's like, are you going to get off the toilet so we can, like, celebrate? Or,
like, come give me a hug.
Right, I'm like, oh, yeah. Right, I'm coming.
But in your head, were you like, I totally knew this? Like,
Yes. I'm like, I knew it.
That's
And
awesome.
come to find out, like, based on the dates, like, yep.
So did that make this feel pregnant?
This feel pregnant.
Pregnancy. Did it make this pregnancy feel a lot longer then? And
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you were pretty much halfway through.
Yeah.
It went fast, but I was sick well past, like, the second trimester. Obviously, being older, I was, like, geriatric, and I had gestational diabetes, and we had a scare right at the beginning, and almost didn't know if we were even going to keep the pregnancy and just all the testing and stuff that went with that, like, it was a lot.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is very stressful.
Yes.
And then,
And then she was 4 weeks early, so.
Right.
Yeah, she was a preemie, wasn't she?
Yep.
Yeah.
4 weeks on the dot.
Oh.
Yeah, because your due date was August 7th, wasn't it?
August 4th.
August 4th.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
And
Yeah.
she was July 7th.
So that's,
I was exactly 36 weeks that day that I delivered.
That's crazy.
I had Elliot at 37 weeks and then Ella at 38.
Right.
But.
So for you, how were the two pregnancies different?
I don't really remember Ella's pregnancy. Well, my pregnancy with her, but I feel like it was different because we both had girl and boy.
Yep.
But you had a boy first. But with me, with Ella, I feel like they always say, like, girls make you sicker because of the, like, extra hormones and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it was actually with Elliot that I was a little bit more, like, sicker. Like, with him, I felt more nauseous, but I never actually threw up. But I had, like, migraines and, like, just my body was just, obviously I was older. I was 27 versus 19. I think that is just the sole thing is just being older. And my kids are 7.5 years apart. So that aspect helped a lot because Ella was able to help with Elliot. But as far as, like, pregnancy-wise, I feel like they were pretty much the same.
Similar.
Versus you're just older, so your body's like, meh.
Reacts to it differently.
Yeah.
Which brought me to my next question. What did you guys feel like there was much of a difference between your boy pregnancies versus your girl pregnancies?
A little. I knew Elliot was a boy.
Like from the get-go?
Right off the jump, I was like, I knew he's a boy. I just felt it.
Instinct, or was there
I just
signs?
felt different. Like with Ella, like I said, it was weird. It was a little bit of both mixed in with both. So it's hard to explain, but with Ella, I was kind of nauseous, not really. With Elliot, I was really nauseous, but not throwing up. So then it was just kind of different, but I don't know. I feel like it was just pretty much the same for me. Just I was older, so my body just felt...
Reacted different.
I don't want to say, like, weaker, but it almost felt that way. Because I was like, my back, I can't move. So it was, a little different, kind of the same, but...
And were there any big differences for you other
100%.
than being just...
With Peyton, like, obviously I was sick after we got back from Cedar Point. That was it. Like, I felt good my entire pregnancy.
Well, and I remember...
Amberly, I was so sick.
I remember
the whole time.
after... A little ways after you had Peyton, like, me and you had talked about possibly doing, like, some sort of surrogacy, and you were being like, yes, I loved being pregnant. Like, do you still feel that way?
Yes.
Yes and no.
I mean, I liked having her inside and all that, but...
Feeling all the feels, like the kicks and stuff.
But I was so sick.
Right.
Yeah.
So sick with her.
There was a big difference for you then.
And now after having a C-section, like, that too really changed things.
Right.
Was Peyton vaginal?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yep.
So, yeah.
And that my delivery was amazing. It was, I mean, he was out really quick, and I never had any pain.
Wow.
Nothing.
Okay.
And then there's Randa who just pops him out within an hour. Not even. Water breaks and she's like, here's my child.
Literally. Both Ella and Elliot. I think Ella was not even 2 hours. And then Elliot was... My water broke with Ella at like 6:50. I had her at 8:50.
Jeez.
So like 2 hours. Or maybe it was like 6:30. But anyway, it was like about 2 hours. With Elliot, my water broke around 8 something at night. And I had him at 11:13.
Yeah.
So... Very quick.
Yeah.
Very quick. And both, I had them all natural. I didn't even have time for the epidural.
Not at that point.
They were like, do you want one? I was like, I need to poop, so I need to push now. Like, I don't have
I gotta
time
go.
for you to, like, numb me and stick it in. Like, he's coming out. So, I didn't have an option. Which I knew going in with Elliot that I wanted all natural, like, no medications and stuff. And then it was nice that I was able to do that. Because I know that some people... will be like, oh, my birth plan is to go all natural, like, no medications, and then, like, complications come up, so they have to do it. So, like, in that aspect, I was pretty grateful that I was able to do it, but my body was just like, get this thing out of me. So, I don't know.
It worked out for you.
Yeah, it's weird, because my mom, when she had my sister, she was in labor for, like, 24 hours or something like that.
Yeah.
So, like, and that was her first kid. So I always heard, like, the horror stories of my sister, and I was like, oh my God, like, that's going to be me. Like, this is my first child. Like, my body doesn't know how to do the things that, like, you do. Mm-hmm. But with Ella, it was, like, I just popped her out, and I was like, okay, this is weird. So then I was like, oh, my next pregnancy is going to be
Which it's typically they get easier.
And they really did.
I don't want to say get easier. Go faster.
Yeah,
yes.
They definitely pop out because your body is like, oh, I've done.
I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, we can do this again. So
it was a lot longer than that.
Which, and I remember being younger. You took a long walk that night because you were having some contractions.
I started having contractions after school.
Right, but
so like
your water never broke. But
nope,
it did
walking
later
to
that
the shower, all that, and then got up in the middle of the night, went to the bathroom, and was walking back, and I was like, I just went to the bathroom, so why am I dripping?
Oh no!
And I was like, I think my water just broke, and we went to the hospital. That was like 2:00 in the morning, and it had partially broke, so they had to break it at like 2, and then I had him at 12:41 in the afternoon. So a lot of people would say that was 10 hours is a short labor, but
yeah. I also feel like it goes slower when you have to be induced and when they have to like break your water for you. Because I feel like, because then your body has to have that time to like build up the whatever it's called to get it going. For me with Ella, they said I was like laboring most of the night, but when I woke up to use the bathroom, I don't know how it felt for you when your water broke, because you said it was just like partial, but for me it felt like a giant gas bubble. Like, you know how like when you get a lot of gas you just get those bubbles in there? It literally felt like that, but it like popped inside of me versus coming out. So I was like, that's weird. So then I like went to the bathroom, and the second I sat down, it like
gosh.
Yes, I was like, oh, this is weird.
Good thing you were there.
Right? I know. I was like, this is great. And the same thing, funny story, actually happened with Elliot. I was doing a
exercise,
pregnant or a labor-inducing like workout.
Right.
And after the workout was finished, I laid on the couch and I felt that same feeling. I was like, oh my God. And I felt the bubble, and then I went to the toilet, and then sure enough, water broke in the toilet.
You're perfect. No cleanup necessary.
I was like, I remember this from the first one. You're not getting me this time. So, and then Ella walks in. She goes, Mom, are you okay? I was like, I think my water just broke. And she's like, baby brother's coming. I was like, yes, he'll be here soon. So I was like, Ella, get me. I had to have her grab me a panty liner. Not like that freaking did anything.
Right. Anyway. Panty liner.
Yeah. Well, in that moment, I was just like,
so I don't drip everywhere.
Literally. But it doesn't, because it's weird because it continues to leak even though you've already, which is weird because it doesn't like make its own.
Right.
Like it's there, and then I thought like once it's out, it's like you're good.
Out, yeah.
But it like keeps
coming.
And I'm like, this is kind of annoying.
Yeah, that Mom made me sit on a towel. I was like, really? I need to mix this.
I get it now.
But then. Yeah, when they had gowned me up and let me go walk because they knew, like, I wasn't that far along. Mm-hmm. And so they let me walk to the hospital. Yep.
Okay.
And it was 2:00 in the morning. This is when they were just starting the new children's hospital. So it was all under construction, and we were walking. And I happened to, like, look down or something, and I was like, I'm leaking.
There's a trail?
There was a trail. Because they took my underwear off to finish breaking my water and never gave me anything after that. So.
Whoops.
I blame
someone coming by.
There is part of me. Yeah, there is part of me in the construction area.
I love that. That's a nice story. Yeah. Like, hey,
I'm there.
Little spots on the floor. It's me.
That's me.
Yeah. Whoops. No, I did not leave my bed with Amberly. I could not because I was on too many monitors.
Right. Because that's
during labor.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say you ended up going in because your amniotic fluid was too low.
No, because of the gestational diabetes and whatever reason, my doctor wanted to do a 30. It would have been about. I don't remember if it was 35 or 36, because I was kind of in between, but she wanted to do another ultrasound. We're like, okay. It took the first nurse so long to do my ultrasound, and she was new. So we're like, okay, whatever, like, not a big deal. The other girl comes in, they get more pictures, and then they actually put Nate and I in the waiting room to meet the doctor, because my doctor was on vacation at the time.
Of course.
So I think they were like, okay, they're reviewing them, like, whatever, but hello, tick-tock.
Right, literally.
And then we were hoping, because usually with gestational diabetes, they plan on, like, to induce you at some point. So we were kind of just there to find out, like, am I going to get induced? Am I going to try to go naturally? How many weeks? Home, like, where are we?
Yeah.
Yep. And then I was planning on, I was ready to head into work. Nate and I were actually going to go get lunch together and then go back to work.
Okay.
And we're sitting in, we finally got called in the room like a half hour later, and this doctor comes in, and we're like, yeah, just, hoping to find out when, what's the plan?
Right.
And she's like, today.
Oh.
And we're like, yeah, we're going to find out today. She's like, no, you guys are leaving here. You need to go to the hospital right away. You are having this baby today. And I was like, what?
That's a lot to process.
My placenta was no longer giving Amberly anything. Like, it had essentially, like, died off.
Okay.
How does that happen?
I don't know. And I had still been feeling movement. And so, like, in my opinion, like, everything
was okay.
That would have triggered me. But nothing was abnormal. So I don't know, like, did it just happen? Like, we'll never really get those answers. But they're like, yeah, you need to go straight to the hospital. And I was like, I wanted lunch.
I wanted lunch. I am hangry.
I started packing our hospital bag because this is July 6th at the time.
Okay.
We had just got back from our baby moon over 4th of July weekend. So when we got home, I did kind of start like, okay, we've got about a month. Like, I need to start prepping the hospital bags and everything. So, like, we didn't bring that with our doctor's appointment. I didn't have it in my car ready to go at the time. Like,
because why would you? Because in your head, you're like, I have plenty of time.
Right.
Still
got a month.
So
Amberly's like, nope.
Yeah, no, we went straight to the hospital. They got us checked in, got me hooked up to monitors, and eventually they're like, yep, we at least want to keep her in for till 37 weeks. So I'm like, I am not
spending a week in the hospital.
Keep me here. Like, can I at least go home on bed rest? And they monitored her all night, and then they're like, things actually, like, now that you're here, things are looking good. She's looking good. We probably won't have to do a C-section, so if you guys want to eat, that's fine. This is now, like, dinner time by the time we're checked in, and we've done all the testing.
Now you're, like, 8 hours after you're like, I wanted to eat.
Right. So Nate, because we just went straight there, thank God he was at my appointment with me. He was like, I'm going to go home. I'm going to shower quick, grab our bags. I'll get food on the way back, and back.
Right.
Okay. No sooner did he leave, all of a sudden the nurses come running in.
Oh my God, that's terrifying.
And her heart rate started dropping.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, great. So they're like, we can't have you eat because if we have to rush into a C-section. So I'm like,
I can't eat still.
I mean, things are fine right now, but, like, I can't have food.
So it's really not.
Poor Nate's, like, at home, like, frantically trying to, like pack
throw
bags and everything.
Bag.
Dad was here with Peyton getting bags, and Dad was like, it's okay. And he's like, I didn't want to scare anybody. So Nate's like, really, it's not. But, like.
But, yeah, everything's fine.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And so he came back, and then we were fine all night. And then 4 o'clock in the morning, I actually started getting contractions, which was weird.
Did they give you any, like, meds or anything
They
to
gave
induce?
me a steroid when I got there because they were afraid of her lungs not developing.
Right.
Oh, okay.
And then 24 hours later, I could have another one. So that was the only thing that they did was a steroid. And I don't know if that
So they didn't induce or anything, but you don't know if like the steroid
I don't know if that
might've...
like caused my body to like go into
it could have
process, but I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm having contractions. Like, I've been through this. Like,
right.
And it was weird.
And you got
and
Braxton Hicks with Peyton, didn't you?
No.
Okay, I thought you did.
No.
So it was, I mean, you never got any Braxton Hicks or anything. Was the doctors or anything saying that's what it was, or
they did say? And I started dilating to like, I think I was at a 3 when they came in at like, because at 6 a.m. the nurse came in and was going to do another ultrasound to check the placenta progression, like what percentage of flow back to her was actually happening.
Okay.
And so they came in at 6 a.m. and that's when I told them, and she's like, yeah, you are having contractions. You're at a 3.
Oh, wow.
Amberly looked good. Flo was at a percentage that, like, it wasn't an emergency.
Okay.
And within that hour, as I was having contractions, her heart rate dropped every time.
Oh, wow.
As I was having them. So they're like, we can try to monitor and let it go, or we can do a C-section right at 8. And I'm like, wow.
Right at 8, what?
8 a.m.
Okay.
This is 6, like, but this is like 7:30. And they're like, we can do one now, like, we have an opening. And I was like, well, I don't want to put Nate through the stress of sitting here all day and then having an emergency, and then he's worried. And I'm like, I was like, what's the date today? And I was like, isn't it July 7th? And the doctor's like, yeah. And I'm like, 7/7, that seems like a good date.
That seems like a good time.
Let's just do it so that everybody can be calm.
Because I remember...
not an emergency.
I remember getting a call very, very shortly before I had gone to bed the night before. And Nate had called and was like, just letting you know, like, we're heading to the hospital. And I was like, okay, like, sounds good. And then got off the phone and was like, she's early. Like, I didn't get much details. I was like, I'll get the details later, but, like, there has to be something else going on. They had just had their appointment. Like, I knew that much. So it was like, I'm going to just take a few breaths, go from there.
Try not to freak out.
Right.
Yeah.
And then at, I believe I had texted him when I had got to work, just, hey, is everything going all right? And then I got a text back at like 7:30. Well, I'm still at work. And he's like, we're heading in for a C-section. And I was like, wait a second, what? Like, hold on. Like, I wasn't prepared for that. Like, I knew you were going in, but wait a second. So how
was the C-section different from giving birth vaginally?
Well, like, vaginally, it's like, you know, just there, and then he got placed right on me. Everything was fine, because he was just a couple weeks early, but, I mean, he was healthy and ready. And then the C-section, they actually separated Nate and I. Nate was told to get the scrubs on, everything, and because Grady was a C-section, he knew, like, what he had to do. He knew
the ins and outs.
And
which is helpful.
They rolled me in and got me set up before he could even come in, so I'm like, okay, bye.
Yeah,
and like,
I love you.
I got set. They bring you into the operating room.
Which you walked yourself in, didn't you? Or did they?
Yeah, I walked myself. So I sat down on the table, and the anesthesiologist is in there cracking dad jokes. Like, it was great. We're all just cracking jokes. Everybody's, you know, bright and cheery. It's 8 a.m. So I'm like,
relax. Though.
Yeah.
So they gave me all the drugs and laid me down, and they're like, you should go numb soon. I'm like, yep. And then I think once I was on the table, shortly after, they brought Nate in, and then they put up like a tiny screen between us.
So you couldn't see all the...
And then, they started like apparently cutting me open and stuff. And one of the nurses, the coolest part was one of the nurses took Nate's phone And she has pictures of my entire C-section, like, behind the curtain.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Just a, hey, if you want to look at this later.
Both of Nate and I in there, like,
yeah.
She got so many pictures. She took a couple videos. It was crazy. And then because of her lungs was the big worry. They took her out and she started screaming right away.
Oh,
like,
beautiful.
I was like,
that's a good sign.
I was like, she's got the lungs. Like,
She's fine.
Her lungs are fine.
She's good.
She was ready for this. So,
do you feel like, obviously you're numb, but I've never had a C-section, so do you feel like the tugging and stuff like that?
yeah. But it wasn't more than like,
Oh, okay.
come here. Like,
Come here.
A lot of people say like it's really bad, but I just got like a really good dose of drugs.
You're probably
I'm like,
Right.
got an extra good
yeah,
dose.
it wasn't
Yeah.
anything. Like, I didn't feel him pushing
Oh,
at all.
interesting.
I think I just felt like her coming out and then the placenta and like all that.
Okay.
And
And
then,
then getting stitched back up, right?
yeah, I didn't feel any of
glue.
that.
Don't they have to do
Stitch.
it like layer by layer or something?
I don't know, but
How was the recovery after a C-section?
awful.
Yeah.
They, like, obviously, I can't see anything underneath there. And so even after we were in the hospital, they kept checking on it. I was very sore, just, I'm in the bed now for so long, and, like, I'm a side sleeper. So, like, just moving, it's like, okay, get it. And luckily I had my
Poppy.
my side sleeper, my pregnancy pillow.
Oh, okay.
So I actually still use that so that my belly wasn't just like hanging over. Like, I needed that support still.
Yes.
You were up and moving relatively quickly.
Yeah,
though,
I was in
you?
a lot of pain, but I did get up and start moving right away.
You have to, don't you?
Yeah. And then
Isn't it to prevent?
Don't
like,
you have to do
clots or
it
something?
Probably.
Yeah.
sooner with a C-section versus just a vaginal?
probably.
Because I feel like,
Like I said, I think it's to prevent clots.
Clotting?
They want you up
Yeah.
and moving.
Yeah.
And I also had to breathe into like a breathing machine, basically. That's supposed to help like my healing.
Interesting.
Do that with Peyton, but I did with the C-section.
Huh.
Could again be with the clots, and
Yeah.
I'm sure they told me why, but you have so much going
I was gonna say, you got
on.
other stuff to worry about.
At
Yeah.
that point, you're just like, just let me heal, let me sleep.
Yeah.
like,
Right.
leave me alone.
Yeah, but
Do
then
whatever you need to do.
because I still couldn't see it, so then they kept telling me it looks great, it looks great, it looks great. So before we left the hospital, I made sure like that Nate knew
What
great looks like.
Yeah.
Right.
And I still, when I went to my 6-week post-op, I still hadn't seen it. And she's like, yep, it looks great. She's like, you still have the glue, so you can, like, scrub that off because you're not supposed to, like, scrub it for so long.
Right.
But then I'm like, I literally took glue
Yeah.
holding my entire stomach together.
That's
They don't do
insane.
stitches.
There were
they do
internal
glue.
stitches that dissolve, but then my outside layer of skin, glue. That's it.
Is it like E600
And I was like,
glue?
I was like,
what
I was
kind
like,
of glue
what?
is this?
Yeah.
Medical grade.
That's
just like it when
insane.
they do.
That's like mind blowing. The
Well-
fact that that's even like that can just
like, how did
pull-
that not?
Yeah.
A lot of
burst
like
open.
head
Literally.
wounds, they end up doing glue or staples because it holds better than stitches. Apparently, I don't know.
I understand
but, like,
like
instead
the
of-
internal ones being stitches, but I always thought the outer ones were stitches as well.
I think they used to.
Yeah.
I was gonna
That's
say the like
crazy. I always
go-to
thought
now
they did.
is
That's what I
glue.
thought.
Yeah.
Wow.
But then,
Learned
yeah,
something
I
new
found
every day.
out, like, there were no actual stitches. And I was like,
What do you mean?
That's I would have been the same way. I would have been like, hello.
I still,
What?
like, I still can't see it. Like, I have to, like,
Get
lift
a
up my
mirror
stomach.
out.
Like,
I was gonna say, get yourself a mirror.
it's so weird. Like, I still can't feel certain parts of my stomach and
Like
Whoa.
like,
What do you
like
mean?
you're
like,
still
like,
like
my
numb?
skin. Yeah.
like it's numb?
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't that be like it died or something? Wait, what?
I feel like that's would be
like, I can barely
nerve-wracking.
feel
Nerve-wracking.
that. Nerve-wracking.
Nerve-wracking. Then
Have you brought it up to a doctor? I feel like that's
No, I've talked to other friends that have had C-sections, and they said, yeah,
it must
it's
just be a
just
same
thing.
way.
Yeah.
Oh, pff, no thanks.
Yeah, I think they basically kill everything because they...
Well, what I understood is it's 7 layers of...
Skin.
Not skin, but like 7 layers of body that they have to get through in order to get the baby.
Well, and laying there, like, they did it really fast. Like, all of a sudden, they were holding her, and I was like...
Wait a second.
Okay.
That's nice, because they knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, was your doctor back at that point, or were you stuck with a different doctor? Because you said your
we
doctor
had all different doctors in the
on...
hospital.
Same.
So, did you ever see your doctor through
Nope.
the entire process?
Nope.
That kind of sucks.
Mm-hmm.
And we had different doctors every night.
Right. That sucks.
That's annoying.
Different
I feel
nurses.
Like the reason why you were like, my doctor was on vacation, I feel like that's usually how it goes. Because with Elliot, I had an OB appointment at like 11 a.m. the same day. And then that night at 11 p.m. I had him. So less than like 12 hours later. And my doctor was joking. She was like, if you go into labor tonight, I won't see you because she wasn't on vacation, but she was doing something at a different hospital. And she was like, I'll see you on Tuesday, like making a joke, whatever. Because she was like, you're dilated, like you're like whatever effaced, or like you're thinning out, like you're good to go.
Right.
And I was like, okay, like whatever. And she was like, I'll see you Tuesday. And then later that night, I was like, joke's on you, like he's coming out.
He's coming now.
So then, yeah, the doctor wasn't my doctor, and like everybody after that wasn't my doctor.
I feel like
so
that would still freak me out.
So going into the 6-week like checkup, like I saw my actual doctor and I was like, you weren't there, like what the heck? And it was like a whole funny thing, but it's so weird how you're like, this is the doctor, and then when
you're with them through the whole pregnancy.
Yeah, and like you're talking about like your birth plan and like just getting personable with each other, and then you just have this random person that you don't even know just all up in your junk, and you're like, okay, hi.
Cool.
Like, I hope you know what you're doing.
Here's a rundown of my birth plan, apparently.
Yeah, it's so weird, and it's kind of irritating, but
now,
how it goes. It's how it goes.
Did you have a birth plan for both of yours, and how close were they to what your plan was?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously,
I know for
Amberly's
sure
was a little different.
Amberly, and I'm pretty sure I did one with Peyton, but there ended up being a lot more people in the room with Peyton than I had planned, but...
People as in, like, family, or just, like, doctors?
Both of my parents were there. Okay. Both of his parents were there. Me, Kevin, and then they actually had extra nurses and stuff. So there was, like, 12 people in the room when I delivered.
Now, with having... well, you didn't have that option because you had a C-section, but... Having Amberly, did you go into it with, I just want Nate there, or did you want... Like,
yes, that was the plan.
Okay.
Yep.
And is it because you had a...
audience?
There were so many... Yeah, there were so many people with Peyton that I just felt like...
Overwhelmed?
We didn't get our time.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, I just wanted my time, and I did, with Peyton, have, like, so much time with him alone. Mm-hmm. But then it was just the chaos of also having our parents there. Like, it just...
I feel
it wasn't that relaxing, like, moment.
Yeah. I like the idea of, like, having, like, your parents there, because, like, they're there to, like, support you and help you. But, like, I feel like it's a very intimate thing.
Yes.
Like, I mean, they're not there when you guys have sex, so why are they there when you guys give birth? I feel like it's the same thing. It's very intimate, and it's easier when it's just the two of you. Like, with Ella, it was just Mitchell and I.
And
with Elliot, it was just Mitchell and I.
Yep. I want you to be at the hospital, but don't be in the room
Absolutely.
with me.
Birth plans, and how close were they?
I don't think I really went into, like, depth of what I wanted. I just knew that I wanted, like, no medications, all natural.
Just you and Mitch.
Just me and Mitchell, and I mean,
pretty spot on.
It was pretty
cool.
spot on. So
that's cool. Yeah, I like that.
It makes it so much easier.
Yeah,
and it's less like stressful because then you have to worry about what these people are doing as you're trying to push, and like it's just hard to focus. And I guess I wouldn't really know for sure, but just my opinion, I feel like it would be really hard to focus and, like, do what you have to do, because there's just, like, push, like, shut the fuck up, like, I know! Dude, like, leave me alone, so, yeah.
And, like, I know, like, with my mom, when she was giving birth to me, she had, like, 101 extra doctors in the room because I pooped early. So, they had a whole extra team just for me.
Just for your
poop. So, she had a whole audience.
Just for your poop.
Yep.
What was the thing I remember you said something like you gave your mom trouble, or was it like your dad said something about you?
Oh, my dad, I was born, and then when I was born, my mom said no more because he has one that acts like him and one that looks like him.
Yeah.
And I don't look like him.
So.
Just
I'll leave it to that one. Just really shitty. Exactly. Shit from the beginning.
Should have known it's all going downhill from there.
Exactly.
She's gonna shit on everybody.
I'm shitting. I'm here. Let's go.
Yeah, if it was just me, they'd have so many kids.
If every kid turned out like her, we'd be fine.
See,
my dad wanted 6.
Oh my god.
And my mom was set with 2. So
it would be 2 after you.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally. That's actually really funny you said that, because Mitchell's parents, mainly his mom, was always like, because he was the worst one. Like when he was like,
not the youngest?
He is the youngest.
It's always the youngest.
Not birth-wise, but just like toddler and like stuff. Like he was the worst one. And I guess he would unbuckle himself out of the car seat as they're driving down the road, like that, like those things. And she always said, like, if he was the first one, he would have been the last one.
He would have been the only one.
So then she always joked with me, she's like, you better watch out for your kids if they're anything like Mitchell.
Right.
So far, it's Elliot.
Yep.
Elliot is like,
it's always
Mitchell,
the youngest.
and I think it's the boy and the youngest, so.
It's always the youngest.
Yep, so it's kind of funny how it's
right.
like full circle kind of thing, but yeah, it is the youngest.
Which it's funny because Ricky is technically the middle, but also the youngest, because it was his sister who's, I don't remember how, I think she's 3 years older than them. I can't remember exactly, but then it's Ricky who was born first between him and his brother, and then 45 minutes later it was his brother, which I don't understand that either. Like, I feel like 45 minutes is crazy.
That's like that's like a whole other freaking birth. She waited 9 months for that baby.
Right.
Right. But so technically his brother would be the youngest.
Yeah, because
but
usually
like between the two of them, I tell his mom all the time, I am so sorry. I am so sorry. Like,
could you imagine? I've always wanted twin boys. Like, I've always wanted twin boys. Like, that was my thing. But having a boy now who's a toddler, I'm like, there is no friggin' way.
Could you imagine that times 2?
No.
The terror.
No.
Well, that, and Ricky all the time, he's like, I got my pay pack. Like, Hope does a lot, like, Hope painted her crib with poop, where, like...
I used to do that.
That's...
Why am I proud of that?
I did masterpiece. Look at it go hurt. But like,
it was beautiful.
With his mom, like the two of them, him and his brother, would take it out and like throw it.
Ooh.
So it's like,
I throw it the furthest.
I don't know. I don't want to know. But that sounds awful.
Yeah, I used to do that too.
I can't imagine.
I would like take my diaper off and just smear it on the walls, and like
you're the
all over
youngest.
me, and I'm the youngest. Ooh, this is a thing now.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
You're in
So
for
I
a
feel
treat.
like it's always the youngest.
How is Amberly different from Peyton at this age? Versus like boy girl, or her just being the youngest.
Right?
She is a diva.
She gets that from you.
Was ready at 36 weeks and she's like, I'm coming out.
That's true.
Here I come.
Yep.
My favorite is the picture of us leaving the hospital. She's in her car seat like,
see ya.
She's like, I
I'm like, this bitch is like, yeah, see ya, I'm out of here. I got what I wanted.
Yep. I
And it has been that every day since.
Oh my gosh. I love that.
And now she's at the age where, like, she's never been a big crier. Like, she'll whine if she wanted something. But now, when she wants something, she just screams.
She skipped the cry.
Like, she's thirsty and she's just like,
and you're just like, what do you want? What's happening?
You just gotta ask.
yeah, I'm like, can we use our words? Like,
did you hurt
we need to figure out words real fast.
Literally. Oh
or
my
sign
gosh.
language. We've been trying with sign language and...
She's been doing all right with that though, hasn't she? I know more she tends to clap rather than you know,
enough.
but that's what I said.
Right.
I feel like she's,
if you
for
know
the most
what
part, she's doing good.
for,
Yes.
yeah, then you're like good to
Yeah,
go.
she usually wants water.
Yeah.
But that's, I mean, it's no different than Elliot. He's starting to use his words, and it's not apple, it's just ball. Ball. I need a ball.
But I know exactly what it means because
Right.
he's by the fridge trying to pull on it, and like the second you open the door, he goes right to the apple. So like, it's weird how, like, us as parents can, like, understand
yes.
what they mean when they say certain things, but...
Well, because the first time he said it to me, I was like, what? And Brando was like, he wants an apple, and I was like, oh, okay. It's like, now I know, but...
Which is weird, because Ella was talking at 2, versus Elliot is kind of there, but it's not there. Like, he'll definitely tell you what he wants, but it's not actual words.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, Amberly's not quite talking yet, but
No.
I'm interested to see if that will be different with your first.
Oh, she'll have many things to say. She already does.
She'll have all the things to say.
She's a diva.
Did you have any other questions?
I think that I think we should wrap up this episode and head into a part 2. So make sure you're following, liking, subscribing, doing all the fun things on social.
And if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, because most of you are not.
Yes. And then we'll see you in part 2.
Bye.